time again.
Yeah, Rebecca's here. Hi, Rebecca.
Good morning.
Scott, I was just saying, Scott, that more than photo advice, I needed a little shot of Scott.
Oh my gosh.
Truly.
Oh, thank you.
I'm counting on you.
All right. I will do my best.
Okay,
It's always good for me to get a little shot of Rebecca too. So
well, good.
I'm Renee, and I don't know why my name isn't printing on things, but could
you know what, Renee? I can fix that for you. Hold on a sec.
I know, but I don't know how.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta wait till I'm host now. Okay.
Thank you.
We're about to stream live, so
you can go ahead and rename her. You're fine.
Okay, I'm all set. All right.
You have me in there. I'm Cindy. I'm new.
Okay, Cindy. Hi.
Yes,
Yeah,
hi.
I see your name. So
You okay? So
yeah,
hope
and
I'm doing
welcome.
good.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Is this your first Get Set Up class?
Yes, and I hope I'm doing this right.
Yeah, everything looks good.
Okay.
And Lori, you're looking especially glamorous this morning. How are you feeling?
Oh, glamorous. I touched myself up on the screen. I'm feeling fine. It's nice to be here because I'm using my phone camera, but I don't know what I'm doing. So, so I'm hoping that I learn how to at least do a collage, because I was a former, I had a Samsung before, and it was really easy to do that stuff. I'm finding this is a little less intuitive.
Okay.
I can't believe that, but unless my daughter shows me, and she's a horrible teacher, I just don't have the answer to it. But I tend to play around with buttons. I try them out.
Yeah, I do too. Sometimes that's dangerous.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Scott, this is the first time that I'm going to use the phone.
Okay.
And I plan to take a picture because I have to send somebody a picture, but I am scared.
Okay. Well, I will walk you through all the phone functions. Yeah, this class is, I think I've got another co-host here. So let me just call up.
Okay, Scott. So I've given you host. You guys are live streaming, and we have Miss Nancy from support here. She'll be here with you for the hour. If anybody has any questions, they can reach out to her via chat. And you're good to go, Scott. I hope you guys enjoy your guys' class and have a good Saturday.
Thank you, Melissa.
No problem, Scott. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks. Well, good to see such a large crowd this morning. I am happy to, this is my flagship class on Get Set Up. I teach a lot of photography classes, but this one is the first one I ever taught. So I really am focused in this class on walking you through just the general camera settings on an iPhone. A lot less on the composition aspect. Those are there are a lot of other classes on that, but this is really focused on just how to find the different camera features on your phone and really use those to get some nice pictures. So the camera has evolved a little bit over time. I'll get a little more into that. So some of you may have older phones that don't have some of the features that newer phones do, but if you are looking for something and you don't see it, let me know, and I can kind of give you an idea of whether your phone is capable of that or not. So I think for now, just so we don't have any background noise, I am going to put everybody on mute. I will stop for questions periodically, and when we do that, you can unmute yourself and let me know what I can help you with. And you can always drop a question in the chat. Nancy will be helping me monitor that. So we'll make sure we get everybody's questions answered. Okay, so let's go. Okay, just a little bit more about me. We usually start with just a little bit of a bio of your guide so you know what you're getting into. I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. That is right outside of Washington, D.C. And in addition to leading Get Set Up classes, I'm a freelance writer and editor and photographer. I've been an avid photographer for more than 20 years, and I really use my iPhone a lot more than I ever thought I would to do photography. It's handy, and you can actually do some pretty nice photography with that little handheld device. And I really enjoy being here on Get Set Up. I love the interactive learning. I love to see familiar faces, people who I've seen in some of my other classes, and I've made a lot of friends. And I love the mission of building social connection in the midst of all this learning too. So thanks everybody for being here today. And just a little bit more, I know we had at least one new person today, a little bit more about Get Set Up. We're here to help you learn from people like you. So all of our guides are older adults as well. We learn from each other. Ideally, we can see each other on camera. That creates more of a social connection. If you are unfamiliar with Zoom, you can either go to the bottom, take your pointer to the bottom of your Zoom screen, and you'll see a little panel with some options. You can hit start video to show yourself. If you're on an iPad or an iPhone, you may need to go to the top of your screen to get that. If you would like a recording of this session, you can do that by emailing us at help@getsetup.io, and we'll be sure to send that to you. If you're joining us by live stream, welcome. Glad to have you watching. I encourage you in the future to register for a class, and then you can interact with the other learners, ask questions directly to the guides, and so forth. And lastly, Get Set Up is not paid to promote any specific products. So this is not meant to be an advertisement for Apple or the iPhone. We're just trying to get some information for people who happen to be iPhone users. So what we're going to walk through today is getting you to the point where you understand the various settings on your phone camera and how to use the camera modes to take different styles of photos, like portraits or close-ups versus just wide angle shots. And we'll talk briefly about editing photos right from your phone as well. There are some editing functions built into the phone. If there is anything else that you were really interested in learning today, please drop that in the chat. And when I stop to answer some questions, I'll focus on those as well, and to the best of my ability, answer those. So I'll be sharing a lot of my phone screen today, as well as some slides, but mostly the phone screen. But when you want to get in to look at your camera settings, let me just go ahead and do this right now. Give me just a sec to get this broadcasting here. Okay, so. Okay. All right, so when you go into your settings on your phone, that's where you get to your camera settings. So I'm going to click right here, or press right there, open that up, and then scroll down until I find my camera. And sometimes I have to go down quite a ways, but you'll see photos and camera. I'm going to click on that. And I have a bunch of options here. And depending on what model of phone you have, this will look a little different. But here you're going to see I've got all these options up here. These are mainly for video. I'm not going to be talking about video today, but I am creating a class on iPhone video. So hopefully, if you're interested in that one, that will be coming soon. But down here is where you get into a lot of options for the camera. Now, one of them here is, I'm going to tell you the throwaways first, just to get those out of the way. There is this one that says mirror front camera. Apple added that on on this latest version of the phone. I have an iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I don't know if this is just on the plain old iPhone 11 and after or not, but mirror front camera is for people who can't handle taking a selfie and seeing themselves as they truly are rather than how they see themselves in the mirror. It's just too much of a change for them. So they've created this so that when you take a selfie, you're going to see yourself as you would see yourself in the mirror. So if you need that, that is there. This other one, view outside the frame. If you'll notice, it's hard to tell when I open up my camera, but I am seeing a little bit of, just trying to see if it shows up, but I would have some visual outside. Now you're starting to see it. So outside of this frame when I take a picture. So it just helps with composition a little bit.
I lost you when you were first getting into settings. I have cameras and then formats and that sort of thing. So wherever that page was, I can't find.
Okay. It may not be on your version of the phone. If you're not seeing this, I think that's on the newer models of the phone. So some of this is going to look different depending on how late of a model your phone is.
It's on 8.
It's on 8. Okay.
Scott, in my phone, I go to settings, but I don't find phone or camera.
Okay, you have to scroll down when you go to
Yes,
settings.
I did. I checked everything.
Okay, you scrolled all the way down to where it says photos and camera.
Yeah, I did everything. They don't show that.
Okay. What model of iPhone do you have, Susanna?
Oh my God, I don't have any idea.
Okay.
I have an SE and I'm still not sure where you are. I went to settings and then next is.
Next, you would want to find camera. So I am in my settings now. I've opened this up and I'm scrolling all the way down to where I get into some of my more audio visual apps. So I am now on camera right here.
I'm sorry. In account, I found Prime Video. Is possible there?
Okay, you don't want to go into account, Susanna. You just want to, when you open up your settings, you want to scroll down.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Then I will continue with the class. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I have camera. It starts formats, record video, record slideshow.
Right. So you want to go down to this area. So you have this view outside the frame, which allows you to view outside the frame. You also have this grid. And if you'll notice, when I open up my camera, you'll see that I've just got a blank screen here. I can scroll it around. If I turn on the grid and open up my camera, you'll see that I have got these thin lines here, this little grid. This helps with lining up, say, the horizon if you're taking a landscape, or if you've got something vertical here, like a wall or something, you can line it up there. So it's just kind of handy for something like that. And from there, you also have prioritize fast shooting is just to help if you're taking a lot of pictures right after the other, say at a kid's soccer game or something like that. It makes sure that each one of those are in as high a quality as possible. And right down here, and this is going to vary a little bit depending on the phone, but you'll either have it saying Smart HDR, or it might say Auto HDR. And then also, it might give you the option of keeping normal photo. So what is HDR? That is called high dynamic range. And what that does is, if you've got it turned on, is it's going to, within milliseconds, take 3 different shots at 3 different exposures. So the minute you hit that shutter button on your phone, you won't even notice it, but it's actually taking 3 different shots and blending them together to create a really intensely defined photo with really optimized lighting and everything else. So what that would look like is something like this. This is a picture of my dog, and this first one I took as a normal shot. The next one I had HDR turned on, and you can tell the difference by blending 3 exposures here together. I get a lot more detail in her fur. Her eyes are much more vivid, and it's just a much richer shot. You can kind of liken it to standard definition TV versus high definition TV. So it's kind of the same idea. And if you do have this option where it says, let me go back, where it says keep normal photo, that means not only is it, if you have that on, you will keep a, if you will, standard def version of that photo as well. So you'd actually get 2 versions of the photo. They no longer have that on the latest models. It's just Smart HDR. And if you have that turned on, everything you take is going to be in that HDR mode. Okay. And that pretty much gets you all set up to start taking photos. Those are just the basic settings. I'll stop there real quickly, see if there are any questions I can answer. Yes, Renee.
I'm sorry, I don't have any, I have a lot of things you have, but I didn't have, after composition, it just had grid and mirror front plates, but then it skipped to HDR. I didn't have all those other things in between.
Yeah, so that may mean that your phone isn't a model that has those. Yeah.
It's an 8. It has the other thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I want
some of those I did not. I mean, I just upgraded from an 8 about 3 months ago, and some of the things I see on mine I did not have on my iPhone 8. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yes.
I have a question on your settings there. You have it set on 4K at 60 frames per second for video. Is that the desired setting?
That is, and I'm not going to talk too much about video on this one. I will tell you though, on that one, that is for really, really high definition video. And that, I turned that on just because I thought that looked really cool, but you don't have to do that. It's going to take up more memory on your phone if you keep it there, just because it's that much more intense. But there are other options there. I've got it at 4K, but you can do it at, you've got other options here as well. And yes, Lori. Lori, I think you're on mute. You want to unmute yourself?
The use volume up for burst. I'm just curious what that is.
Yeah. So that is one thing that it does apply to the camera itself. If you have this turned on, if you want to take a burst of photographs, say you're trying to take a picture of a bird flying off, or a dog running, or a child running, and you want to just use the equivalent of a burst. You've probably seen sports photographers do this where they're going click, 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 click. So that's what burst is. If you do use that, then your volume button on your phone will shoot that. That's all you need to do. You'll get that burst going just by clicking on the volume button on your phone.
So you just hear the clicks of your.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You may not even hear it, but it is actually flashing like that and taking bursts of shots like that.
Okay.
Okay, so let me move on to the actual lenses on your phone. If you have an iPhone 10, I think you'll probably have 2 lenses, and anything after, you may have 3 lenses. So if you look on the back of your phone, you may just have one of these. If you've got an earlier model phone, say like an iPhone SE or an iPhone 7, iPhone 10, they added a second lens, and in some of the latest models, they have 3 lenses, and those do 3 different things. One is your standard wide lens. The second one would be a telephoto, and if you see this 0.5x, that is your ultra wide. So what that will look like is when I open up my camera, let me go over here. There is just my normal setting. That's what the camera will always default to. And if I hit on the 2, it will zoom in. And if I hit on the 0.5, it will give it an ultra wide look, which is even a little bit distorted. It's just an ultra wide angle. This mimics what you'd have to have separate lenses to do on a normal digital camera. You're not limited to this. I can just, I can just zoom in even more by putting 2 fingers on the screen and spreading them out. You'll see here now it's at 3.7 rather than 2. So even if you don't have these different lenses, you can still zoom in just by doing it that way. So those are your lenses. And then you will have these different modes down here. And you'll, yes.
On the lenses, I have the latest SE, but there's a large one and then something or other that looks smaller that looks silver. Is that, how many lenses do I have? And
well, you'll be able to tell how many lenses you have by the back of your phone.
that's what I'm looking at.
Okay, so right here, it would look like this. If
it doesn't. It's the latest SE and there's just one large.
Yeah. So that, I think on the SE, you do just get the one lens.
And on the one where you have the 3 lenses, there's this little silver thing up there, little dot silver. What is that?
I think that is just a light in case you use your flash.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you go down here, you will see all these different modes here. So if you move it to the left, just by thumbing down here and moving to the left, that's all video related, which we're not going to go over today, but everything to the right is a different type of mode that you can use on your phone. Now, photo mode is what it defaults to when you open up your camera. And on this version, I have a portrait mode and a pano mode. If you've got an older phone, you might also have a square mode, which is just going to change the orientation or shape of your photo. It'll just make it perfectly square. On the later phones, there's another place to actually orient it that way. But let's just look at these real quick. Here is your standard photo mode. And I'm just going to take this picture. I'm going to zoom in here, and that's my little flower prop I have here. So that's just going to give me a typical snapshot, but I'm going to go into portrait now. And I want you to see the difference here. Everything is in sharp focus. It basically is a snapshot. Here, if you'll notice, you've got this nice background blur, and everything in the foreground is in focus. That's your portrait mode. So that is going to allow you to get pictures like this. So if you'll notice here, people are really sharp in the foreground, and the background has this nice, soft, blurry effect. The iPhone 7 and iPhone 8 do not have this mode, and anything earlier does not. Although if you have the plus size of those models, it will. And everything after that should have the portrait mode. In addition, if you have, I think, the latest models, you even get that portrait mode for selfies like this guy has. So that's a nice effect to have. If you don't have that, there still is a way to achieve that with an app. If you are interested in that, I do teach a photo apps class where I go over that and show you how to achieve this. So if you look for that on the schedule, I'll show you how to do that. And you aren't just limited to portraits when you do that. Obviously, I just did that with just a flower, but you can use that for all kinds of different close-ups, still lifes, pet photography, anything like that. So it isn't just for portraits. And then you have the pano mode, which is panoramic. And that's going to allow you to get shots like this. And this is great if you are taking a picture of a landscape or a cityscape or something like that, and you really want to get as much into the frame as humanly possible. And so there are frames that you can buy for something like this. I think you can buy them at a home goods store or find them on Amazon, any place like that. And if you were interested in taking a picture like this, getting it printed and framing it, that is definitely doable. The way that pano mode works is when you open up your camera and scroll all the way over here to pano, what I'm going to do, I have to step away from the microphone. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'll do it. When you'll see, I've got this yellow line in the middle of the screen with a white arrow on it. What I'm going to do is when I'm ready to start panning, and I'm going to do it in this room, which is not conducive to a panoramic photo, but I just want to show you how this function works. I'll hit this button, and then I will start panning across the room. And I want to keep this arrow on this yellow line as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to go ahead and do this real quickly. When I'm done with my pan, when I'm done getting everything in the frame I want to, I'll just click this again. So I'm starting now. And if I'm going too fast, it will tell me to slow down. And if I want, I can go a complete 360 degrees, but I am going to stop right there. And this is what I end up with. Now, because it's in a really close space, it's a little bit on the distorted side. And you can tell here, I probably wasn't real steady because you can see some distortion in the window here. But that is the way it works. You just pan across until you get everything in the frame you want, and this is all that's been captured. So this is not one you're going to use all that often, but every now and then, if say you're on a hike or at a national park and you have this beautiful vista in front of you, this is where this might be fun to use. And those are your modes.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Scott, I have the older iPhone S, and it has things like photo and it has square.
Yeah.
What is the difference between those two?
So with square, you're just going to get a very square orientation in your frame. And I'm actually going to show you where that is on a later model of the phone, but it works the same way as it will on your phone, Shirley. So I'll show you what that looks like. When I go up here on my phone, if you've got a older phone, it's going to look more like this. The iPhone 10 and earlier models.
Yes.
Yeah, you see that square down there. On the later phones, you have to go elsewhere to find that. But you'll also have all these icons up here, these options, and I'm going to walk through what those are. On the later models, like right down here, it's kind of hidden. So you'll have this little caret up here. You need to click on that. It'll immediately turn yellow and go down and open up all these options down here. So if you're on an iPhone 11 or later, I'll just watch what I do here. I'm going to go up here, click on that, and it moves down. And now I have all this opening up. So Shirley, I'll get to that square in a minute to show you what that looks like. I just want to kind of walk through these in order here. So here you'll see your flash button. On an older phone, you'll probably find it up here. I have mine turned off. I'm not a big fan of flash photography on the iPhone. That's just me. I feel like it gives you red eye and stuff like that. Sometimes that is the only option you have, but you can either turn that to off and keep it off, on and keep it on all the time, or just hit auto and the phone will sense when there's low light and flash would be needed. And if you've got an older phone and it disappears here and there, but there is, or I'm sorry, a newer phone. I think they introduced this with the iPhone 11. There is a night mode. And you'll see here, I just covered my lens and this pops up. It's this little crescent moon. And if you go up here, you'll see I've got this yellow tab and it says 3S. That is 3 seconds. So this basically is the equivalent of a longer exposure. If the sensors in the phone will detect that I'm in a low light situation, whether I'm outside at nighttime, it's a dark room, and this will activate. That means when I hit this button, the shutter is going to stay open for 3 seconds. And that's going to allow more light to come into the lens and capture more even in low light conditions. So if you see that pop up on your phone, that means you do have that night mode and it will activate automatically.
Scott, I have
Yes.
an 11, but I don't have that night mode.
It may be on the 11 Pro. Well, okay, I'm pretty sure it's on the 11. That's not going to show up until it's actually needed. So if you don't see it there, it means you're in a well-lit room.
Okay.
And yeah. You might see it, Diana, if you cover your lens on your phone. Just put your hand over it like I'm doing, and then it pops up. So over here, a lot of people wonder about this button here. And it's also up here on my phone. This is the live button, and it freaks people out sometimes because when that is on, that means that when you look at the picture, it moves. It's actually capturing a tiny bit of video before and after the actual shot. So I've got mine set to live auto, which means it comes on automatically. I can also turn that to off if I don't want that to happen. So all you need to do is put your thumb over it. Once you open it up, put your thumb on it, and I've turned that off. I can selectively turn it on too. But here is where that comes in handy. I want to show you. I never, for a long time, I thought this was just some dumb gimmick that Apple introduced, and I did not see any real purpose behind it other than a gosh, gee whiz, isn't that cool that you use once and then forget about. But on my phone, at least, if I open up a photo I've taken and I hit edit, I also have this live button down here. That indicates to me that I took this in live mode. So if you open up a photo that you've taken and it's live, I'm just going to put my thumb on that to open it up, and you'll see everything that was captured in that live mode. So all of that was captured. And it settled on one picture here. And that is the key photo. So if I upload this to Instagram or Facebook, or I share it with somebody, chances are this is all they will see is this still photo. So great. What if I don't like this? I have a whole bunch of other options here that I can opt for to make the key photo. So if I don't like this one, I can just sort of click on some of these others and see if there's one I like a little better. So maybe I like that. I just then put my thumb on make key photo, and now this is the key photo. This now is what will show up if I share it or post it on Instagram or something like that. So what Live essentially does, in addition to just giving you that little cool few minutes of movement, is it actually gives you a few additional options because it's capturing several frames here. So that's what Live does. And I see Sue says she loves Live, so that's great.
I don't have that in my edit.
It might not be, well, it depends on whether you've taken a photo with Live on.
Oh, never mind, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay. So then you have, and this is where we get into the square mode, Shirley. If you've got an older phone, it's going to show up just in your modes. But if I click on square, you'll see that it just changes the orientation of the photo to, instead of a rectangular orientation, it's just going to be perfectly square. And on these newer phones, what it will default to is this 4:3. That is your aspect ratio. And that is the proportional difference between the height and the width of your photo. So when you enlarge it or reduce it, it would still carry this general orientation. On newer phones, you've got three options: the square, you've got the default to the 4:3, and then you've got 16:9, which just opens up a little more real estate within the frame. And if you don't want to do a panoramic shot, but you do want to get a lot more into the picture, you can choose that 16:9, and you're going to have a little bit of a wider orientation in your photo. And then this button here is just your exposure. If you happen to have that in your editing tools, I do not, or your photo tools, I do not use this. The phone is pretty good about just reading the room and getting the right exposure. So that's why they call them smartphones, I guess. So I never bother to use that. To close any of these, you just put your thumb on it again. You do have a timer on your phone. So if you go in here, I've got the timer off, but this comes in handy if, say, you are taking a group photo, say a group of friends or family, and you want to be in that shot, but you're the one with the camera or the phone. You can mount your phone on a tripod or just steady it somewhere. Set it to go off after 10 seconds. Click this. During this time, you have the chance to run around, get in with the rest of the group, and be in the shot with everybody else. It waits 10 seconds and then it goes off. And you have a 3-second option if you don't need that much time.
I'm sorry, where is the timer? I don't have that either.
It would be right here. You just need to look for a little clock symbol. It
Mine
might
is
be
on top.
Oh, yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And then here are the filters. And you can use these either here when you're taking the shot, or you can use it in the editing mode. So what I'll do here is focus on this. And I don't know if you can see, but it's just changing kind of the temperature of the photo a little bit, making it cooler or maybe a little warmer. And you've got several here that you can choose from. And I can even go into a black and white mode if I want to take this. So that your filters are your three, this symbol here, just 3 conjoining circles. And you do not need to use this when you're taking the picture. You can wait and try to do that when you're editing. Which I will go into next. But those are generally your different tools for or settings essentially for your camera. So I'll stop there for a sec and see if there are some questions I can answer on any of that.
I have a question, Scott.
Yes.
When you're doing the panorama, and I understand how you find the buttons and the pano thing, and then you said you put your thumb here. Where were you putting your thumb? On the button, or were
Yeah.
you just panning your camera?
So what I did was click, whoops, let me do that. What I did was click on the button. Yeah. And then when I'm ready to start panning, I'll click on this and then pan across the room slowly. And when I'm done with my pan, I'll click on this again to shut it off.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So it's like a two press process.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Scott, how is means geo tagging? How does means?
Tagging?
Yes.
That
Geotagging.
So tagging would be something I think that if you want to tag a person, that I think a lot of times comes with when you're sharing it on social media or something like that. I'm really not going to have time to go into that for this class, but we do have a lot of social media classes that talk about sharing photos, and you can probably learn more about tagging there.
Thank you.
What is tagging? In a sentence, what does tagging mean?
Tagging means that you are basically tagging a person with their name, so that say you share that on Facebook, people will be able to tell who that person is. It's basically putting a tag on them.
Thank you.
Scott, may I
Yes.
interrupt? I'm back to the top of the phone now, and I have found the clock icon finally. But there's also like a lightning bolt up there. Did you cover that one? Did I miss it?
Yeah, that's your flash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which if you press on that, you can turn that on or off. Yeah. And Lori, I see you had a question.
Yeah, about the ratio. And is there certain shots that you're supposed to do a certain ratio, or?
It's a judgment call or a preference. With landscapes, sometimes I'll do a 16:9 just because I get more into the frame. For just a standard photo of a person or something like that, 4x3 is perfectly fine.
And when do you use square? Or
Square is really, again, just a judge or a preference. If you want a square orientation, you can use that. I will tell you that if you're sharing a lot of photos on Instagram or even on Facebook, square orientation is sort of seamless with those platforms. Otherwise, sometimes they might try to, if you've got a very rectangular photo, it's going to clip off when you post it to Face or to Instagram. It'll clip off or crop automatically some of that photo. Whereas if you do it in square mode, it's already formatted perfectly for those platforms.
thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, if you take a live photo, which seems like a really good choice, does it take up a lot more storage on the storage?
Yeah, that's a really frequent question. I think there's a lot of concern about that. I don't believe that it takes a whole lot of additional space. One thing that I don't go into in this class, but I do teach a class on the iCloud and saving your photos on the iCloud. If you're using the iCloud to back up your photos, your phone actually senses, it sort of reads when your camera is filling up your phone a little too much, and it will reduce the size of your photos on your phone. They'll stay the same size on the iCloud, but they'll reduce them in size on the phone. They'll still look fine on the device itself. You won't notice the difference, but it saves room. So there's a little bit of of management, storage management going on automatically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is Google Photos the same as iCloud?
They essentially do the same thing.
It seems like I've got both now and they're both backing up everything.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So the photo app that's on the iPhone, that is not Google Photos. That's different, right?
Right. That's different.
Okay. But then when I got Google Photos after your class, so are they now with Google Photos on the cloud and then with this app not on the cloud? So I have them twice?
Yeah, if you have your iCloud account turned on your iPhone, then photos are and you have it activated to back up your photos too, then it's being backed up both on the iCloud and on Google Photos. So, and Diana, if you're interested in that, you might want to take the iCloud Photos class, because that's where I walk in backing up your photos on the iCloud too.
I did, but I didn't understand it. that part. I'm sorry. I wasn't. Okay.
I did the same thing. I took the class, but I didn't get that part. Thank you.
So, okay.
So in theory, I could delete all the photos on the phone, but they're still in the cloud.
They would still be in Google Photos. You do not want to do that if you're only saving them on the iCloud, because the iCloud takes its cues from your phone unless you turn that off. And that's what I go into in that iCloud Photos class, is how to manage that, because it's a little dicier with the iCloud. It works almost a little too closely with your phone when it comes to deleting photos.
Oh.
Whereas Google Photos, if you back it up to Google Photos, it's fine. You can delete at will off your phone.
So I can delete the entire app and automatically the photos that are in there.
On the iCloud, you mean?
No, the photo app that's on the phone. The Apple photos or whatever.
Well, you'll want to, this one you'll want to keep because that's where your photos initially go. And that's what Google Photos uses to back up your
I see.
photos. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Scott,
Yes.
I have a question. I took a picture in square mode that you said is good for social media. I could not, how do I get to a portrait mode in the square, or is it just, I can't?
Yeah, I don't know that square and portrait mode work together. I don't think you can do it in square mode.
So I just have to edit it. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, do you know what the dimensions are in square?
Uh,
I'll look it up.
yeah, not exactly. I think it just says 1 by 1 or yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah. So real quickly, I want to show you the editing modes in photos, just so in case you want to do some quick edits to a photo. When I open up my photo library, here's just a quick example, and I'm going to tilt it this way so it's a little more visible. But I'm going to go in here and you'll see up at the side, it says edit. And this opens it up for me to just play around in here. I'm going to click on that. If you'll notice, it made just, I clicked on the magic wand here. It made just a quick enhancement to the photo. This is all kind of brightened up here in the foreground. There are some others here that you can try out. I'm not going to go through all of them because it gets a little overwhelming, but I'll show you a couple that I really like. This one is Brilliance. And if I'm just going to put my thumb or finger here to do the adjustment, and you'll notice it's getting brighter in here, a little more detail. So it just makes, just like it says, it makes the photo a little more brilliant. The other one that is kind of nice, is, let me scroll down here, is Vibrance. And that just adds a little color to the photo without really distorting the color.
Now, these are different setups of different kinds of iPhones, right? Different, because I don't find where you're at all. I'm trying, but
You don't find which at all?
I guess I missed the step to bring you to where your screen is right now.
So you just want to open a photo on your photo collection and go to edit.
Oh,
and that's where you get that. Yeah. And of course, I mentioned here the filters, and you can apply those here instead of doing it when you take the picture.
Thank you.
I'm just scrolling down there to play with those. And I can click done. And if I decide I don't want that, I can click revert, and I can revert to the original, and it takes me right back. And real quickly, the other one thing I'll show you here is the crop and straighten tool right down here. If I click on this or press on it, I'm going to go over here to my dial. You'll notice here the horizon is a little crooked. Maybe I want to straighten that up. So I'll just tilt it a little bit using this dial to straighten it up. I've got some grid lines there to help me. And I can also change the dimensions of this photo if I want by putting my finger or thumb on these corner tabs, and I can close in and basically reshape the orientation of the photo, something like that. And again, anytime you want to open up and you want to revert back to the original, you just hit revert, go to revert to original, and you get your original photo back. And those are the basics of editing.
Scott, this is Colleen. I have a question back on the phone. I have a 10
Mhm.
And at the bottom, when I'm looking at my phone, and I've got them in camera, at the bottom, there's this little symbol in the middle that says natural light at the bottom of the photo, and then it scrolls through contour, stage, studio.
Yeah, that's in your portrait mode.
Okay.
And what that just creates a little bit of a different lighting setting for.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can try all those out and see if there's one you like a little better. One of them sort of creates almost like a stage light, almost like a spotlight on the subject, which that works sometimes better than others, but yeah, you can play with those to get a different look and feel to your portraits.
Now it's talking to me. It just said move farther away.
Oh, for a portrait, yeah, it will tell you, it will kind of give you a little bit of guidance on where to stand and how to get the best shot. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So we're coming up on the end of the hour here. I went over all this, but I had it in slide form just in case, but just to give you some key takeaways, just get to know those camera settings and all the modes on your phone. Those may include panoramic, portrait, maybe square on an older phone. Remember, you can use HDR, and on newer iPhone models, you can use that night mode. And the editing tools go for auto enhance, vibrance, brilliance. I didn't get a chance to go through contrast, but you can play with that as well. Those give you, I think, the easiest and best results. And again, try out those filters whenever you want. And okay, just to let you know about some related classes coming up. There is a class on home networking explained. So if that interests you, there's one on Zoom virtual backgrounds for beginners and one on Apple Mac computer basics. If you have a Mac as well as an iPhone and you want to get to know that Mac a little better, or a MacBook. My next classes, I have one coming up in about 30 minutes on landscape photography. This is part of a bundle of classes that I'm doing on nature photography. We also have one coming up on flower and close-ups, and also on wildlife. So check that out if you're interested. And then on Monday, I'm doing an introduction to Photoshop. If you have a subscription to Photoshop and you want to get to know that a little better, I walk through some of the basics there. Please let us know what you thought about the class on social media. You can either let Liz know on our marketing team, or you can use the hashtag Get Set Up on your own social media feed to give us a shout out if you liked what you saw here today. You will be getting these class notes, and they will also allow you to recommend the class if you want to a friend. You can email it to them or share it on Facebook. You also will have some other class suggestions here. You can click here to view the entire schedule, and here to give any feedback you want about the class. Whoops, let me go back there.
Scott,
Yes.
your landscape photography.
Mhm.
I'm in New York City and don't have any kind of landscape that traditional. Is that something that I could use even in a city?
You could in Central Park or someplace like that. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Or
it
if you're on vacation someplace.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, fine.
Yeah.
I was thinking streetscapes, but that's not the same.
No, that's a little different. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
You said that you would include some other editing tools that just mention them. Could you include that in your notes?
Yeah, I think I did get all the editing tools covered. Oh, are you talking about some of the other
apps, right?
Yeah, I'll mention those in the notes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, you can offer your feedback here on the feedback form, and also let us know of any other classes you'd like to see us offering. If there is a class that or something you want to learn and you don't see us offering that in our classes, let us know, because we are always looking for new class ideas. You'll also be able, when you register for a new class, to invite a friend to join you if you want, just by clicking here, and you can let them know via Facebook or WhatsApp or email. And lastly, for a number of purposes, you can use this help@getsetup.io email address if you're interested in hosting an interest group of some sort to talk about a shared hobby or a common interest. You can let us know by emailing us there. Also suggest a new class that way. If you're a member of an organization and you think that there might be a partnership possibility with Get Set Up to provide some classes to the organization, you can let us know that via that email. And lastly, again, if you want to request a recording of the session, go ahead and email us there and we'll get that to you.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, folks, and hope to see you again soon.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure, Diana.
How often do they add new classes? Is it once a week? Is it on a certain day or?
There's not a complete rhyme or reason to it right now,
Okay.
but you can definitely
Because there's a search option for new classes on the website.
right, yeah. So yes, yeah, they'll be coming quite a bit. There are plenty of new ones coming every week. So
Thank you.
And Scott, would you be doing your intro to Photoshop more than once?
Yes.
Unfortunately, oh, good. Okay, your time conflicts with something I can't not do, so I really like to take it. So hopefully I'll see you at the second class. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, sounds great. Well, thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
wonderful.
Okay.
One
Bye-bye.
quick thing, Scott. I know you're running to your next class, but I sent you a direct message in chat.
I saw that and I am writing down your email address. I will drop you a line. So
Sounds good.
yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, folks. Bye-bye.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye now.